What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back. The year is now 2035, and Leeds United still have no manager. That's how it feels, doesn't it? Yeah, still as of we talk right now, live 5:30 Greenwich Mean Time, 26th of June. Still no manager in place, but I guess we just have to wait. We just have to keep waiting. I'll be honest now. If we get to July 1st without a manager, it will be very concerning for me. I'm concerned now, in all fairness. But I'm just hoping that once everything's announced, that we've got the manager lined up and that we'll have a few players as well lined up. Because I'd like to think that things like that are going on in the background. But we'll get into that as the show goes on. Please hit a like on the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and drop your comments afterwards. Thank you to Mr. P for a super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated. And Ron and Paul, who have become members of the channel. Thank you so much, guys. Big up, big up. Yeah, memberships are in the description if you want to join the channel and just help out with the running costs and everything else like that, and just support me. So thank you so much for the continued support, people. Seymour saying, Pastor KG, yeah, it's warm in here again, but it is what it is. Lewis is saying we are so finished. What I'll say is the silence isn't concerning me, Lewis. The whole ownership framework of what I've seen of the 49ers and what people have told me is that the 49ers don't do things publicly. Now, I'll be talking about a chairman that does do things publicly towards the end, but these guys don't work like that. So for me, that's not the concern. All I will say is that once this is officially announced by the EFL and everyone else, I will hope that we've got the manager announced and that we've got a couple of players announced, because you can still talk to players and with their agents and say, look, we've got this manager coming in. If he comes in, is this player willing to come? Will you hold off other offers for us to come in? And that does happen. That has happened throughout time. So if we get that announced, the manager announced, and a few incomings, I'd be very pleased with that. But I need to see all those ducks lined up, because for me, by now, we would have had to have had a short list of managers, whether it's been reported or its name's not reported, that the 49ers are looking at. And even if you can't get your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, your fourth choice should still be somebody who you can count on in order to get Leeds United back up to the Premier League. And I hope that's what's going on. You do think that these guys are very smart business people, that would be the case as well. But we just have to wait and see. Jamie Miller in talking about the players leaving on loan. They shouldn't be allowed to leave as they are responsible for our demise. Well, Jamie, what I would say to that is, why would you want to keep a lot of them? Seriously, so many of them are bad. So many of them are bad, and we'll get into that one. Darren here, shout out to you, Darren. I haven't seen you in a minute, Darren. I check the news every day, but still no news of Bamford leaving. I see nothing either, and I'm concerned about that one. I don't want him here, but hopefully there's something out of nowhere and he'll be off and everything else like that. Because I think even the Brendan Aaronson news was quite surprising in that it's Fulham. And again, we'll talk about that in a bit. I always thought Brendan Aaronson would leave, but I thought it possibly back to Germany. I thought it would be somewhere like that, but it seems like a Premier League team want to take a risk on him. And I saw a few Fulham fans talking about him. And it's always interesting how, and this is what I was telling you guys before in terms of players always having a fresh scenery. Sometimes people think, maybe they could be good for us, because I saw one Fulham fan in particular talking about Aaronson could possibly work behind Mitrovic, and I thought, oh, fair dues, man, fair dues. But you know, that's how it goes in football. Whenever you think someone is trash, there'll be somebody else to pick it up. And like I say to you, I don't think Brendan Aaronson's a bad player. I really don't. But you could see from the second half of the season after the international tournament, he just fell off the boil. You know, I'll always maintain he was robbed of assists by Bamford. He was, but at the end of the day, his record, when you look at it overall, it was bad. But a Premier League team wants him. P. Morton is saying, why would you want to stay where you're not wanted? Yeah, P. Morton, listen, I can attest for that more than anybody. I will not be anywhere where I'm not appreciated. No, it's never happening again. Never happening again. I always maintain that, and I always deliver that message to people. If you're not wanted somewhere, don't be there. Don't be an inconvenience to somebody else, and don't make yourself feel put out. And it's the same thing in football. It works both ways, doesn't it? It works both ways. When you're a player and you want to get out, as a club, you've got to look at it and go, is it worth keeping this player around? Also, as a player, if a club wants you gone, you've got to think, the club are going to do everything they can to get me out. And like I said on a previous stream, I've heard of stories where clubs can be very vicious when they want players out, really vicious. So yeah, it 100% go where you're appreciated, man. Go where you wanted. I've seen this as well, so I'm gonna put this up Swinfo. So let's go with this. The problem is the EFL. They don't want us going straight back up. They've got their cash cow back, so by delaying the takeover, it hurts us. Swinfo. I've seen this so many times, and you know what the thing is? I used to rubbish things like that when we was in the middle of being such a mediocre championship club. Because even then, you know how it was. Swinfo. We were still pulling in the figures. We were still getting full attendances away from home. You could always rely on Leeds United. I won't say it hasn't crossed my mind, but I'm not going there just yet. But I understand people's conspiracy theory when it comes to stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I just think that whatever's taken so long in the background. I mean, how long ago was that tweet from Leeds United saying that the transfer is complete from Andrea to the 49ers? It seems a while now, doesn't it? And you would think that it shouldn't take so long. But the EFL, whether it was the old ownership or this one, they just seem to take forever with everything. They take forever with so many things. So yeah, but I hear that. I've seen it so many times, and people have messaged me about that also. So shout out to that. And yeah, Nige D. 7 days to preseason. That's what I'm saying. That things are starting to move along now, and we have to get moving. I mean, if you want to, I don't like comparing to other people. I always think that you should, look after your own house. But Leicester at this point in time, they've still got Harvey Barnes, they've still got James Maddison, who haven't moved. Southampton has still got James Ward-Prowse. So there's a lot of moving parts that still haven't moved around yet, and we're in the same boat. But it's just that for us, I think it's more important for us to get some players in. Really, really important for it to get players in the building. And that's not going to happen until the manager comes in. I was quite surprised that we were linked with Ahmed Diallo, who I'll bring up in just a moment. But because, first of all, I mean, by all reports and things I've heard, is that he wants to go back to Sunderland. If he's coming back to the Championship, he wants to go back to Sunderland. And you can understand that he had a very successful spell with Sunderland. But we've got no manager. So unless it's one of those, like I said at the start of the stream, where the 49er Enterprises, Angus Kinnear and Parag have spoken to clubs saying we're going to get so and so in. Once that's sealed and everything else, once that deal is done, can we get your player in on loan? That's the only way that can happen, because otherwise there is no loan player coming to Leeds United. It just won't happen. You can't sign for a club without no manager. It's just not going to happen, especially for a high prospect loan player. Let me just, while we're talking about it, let me just put it up on the screen. And shout out to everyone in the building. Smash a like on the video, please do that. Where are we at? Where are we at? So many things coming up. Here we are. All right. So yeah, Ahmed Diallo, who is from Manchester United, currently plays for them. He's a bit behind in the pecking order there. They've got a lot of players that they've in his position, especially Garnacho, who's obviously breaking through, and it sounds like he's going to get the number 7 shirt there at Man United. So shows you just how much they rate him. But this isn't more so about Diallo, because I don't think this is going to happen, by the way. But this is more along the lines that of what I want to see in terms of highly rated loans coming to Leeds United. So it has to be on this kind of level with Diallo. It's funny. I saw somebody asked the question, is he any good? And it's like, again, shows you just how out of touch some people are. He's a really, really good player. And especially at championship level, I'd be surprised if there isn't another club in the Premier League that wouldn't go for him. But I would say another year in the Championship would probably do him the best. I know he had a good season last year, but why not go back to the Championship and try again if you're not going to get regular Premier League minutes? And so, yeah, it'd be surprised to me if he doesn't go to the Prem. But if it's back to the Championship, I think it is going to be Sunderland. And like I say, I just don't see it happening without a manager in place. I really don't. Bob's here saying Phil was saying on the pod last week with the square ball that the parachute payments will be gone practically because we're still paying for players from last season. Yeah, Bob's. I mean, I said that as well myself, because it doesn't take a genius to work it out, does it? If you remember all the outgoings that we had, and we did it on a stream here where we looked at our outgoings with something like 88 million, and our incomings was 1 million. terrible business. You cannot operate like that. You just can't. And we're still paying for players that we are possibly being linked with moves away. You know, Brendan Aaronson being linked with a move away. Let me just get that. Where is he? Where is he? Where are you, Brendan? Here he is. Yeah. Brendan Aaronson's being linked with a move away, and we haven't paid all that money to Salzburg yet, but we will be paying some money to them. It's just going to be, it's just the way. There's other players. Dan James is still not paid for. So we are literally, even though we've got a good amount of money coming in, we still got to pay money out on transfers that are not complete. It's just the way it is. Bad business, man. It is bad business. And this is what I'm saying. And this is why when I said that we should have sold some of the players when we did, we should have, and we haven't done it. And now we're paying the price for it, really and truly. Sam saying it's around 100 million still to go out and almost nothing coming in. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know the amount of the installments that we're going to be paying out, but yeah, we're paying out money on players that are possibly not even going to be here next season, and we need all the cash we can get. And I just want to get into the talk about relegation release clauses. I mean, it's also saying about Tyler Adams and Elan Melier having loan clauses. But what I will say on this, because I did mention it on the last stream, and I just want to clarify on that one. CV, whoever agreed Bamford's contract is a fool. Listen, when I said he should be sold after he got those goals, hey, listen, people didn't want to hear it, but it is what it is. And Sam here saying, yet people think all these loads going out don't matter. We need funds, and this is what I want to get into, because you know we're hearing that Leeds United aren't happy with players looking for the avenue to move out on loan, but it's the same with any business. These guys agreed to these when they signed the contract. So not only did the players agree to it, Leeds United did too. Now, this is, you could call it chancing, you could call it arrogance to think that we weren't going to be in a relegation battle, but this is where we are. And as for me, as a club, you cannot be unhappy with the players looking for an avenue to leave. And there's going to be players like who we're talking about, Brendan Aaronson, who could be possibly going to Fulham as long as Fulham pay the full wages that he's on. You could be talking about Llorente, Christensen, who are soon to go to Roma. Those are players that clubs aren't gonna take a risk on in terms of a full transfer fee. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So if they've got a clause in their contract, they're going to use it to their advantage because it's going to be the easiest way for them to depart. And as a club, you've decided to put those clauses in the contract. You can't complain. You know, for them to leave on a loan rather than trying to get a buying club to work out a transfer fee, it just works out better for them. Because you know they weren't good enough last season. No matter how highly rated some of these players are, some of them weren't good enough. But what I'll say is, when we talk about players like Tyler Adams, or Elan Melier, even Jack Harrison, Somerville, Nonto, I think there's more chance of getting fees for those kind of players rather than just loans, because you want to own those players because they've got high potential. No matter what we think of them, you know, me, I don't rate Jack Harrison like that, but he's very highly rated still in the Premier League. There's a lot of Premier League teams that would like him, and you would think that we would get some transfer fees for those kind of players, and that's probably what we're going to be relying on in terms of if we're going to sell players. Those will be the ones that get us fees. You know, I liken it to, you know, let's go with a more recent example. Burnley. Let's go with Burnley. Nick Pope and Wout Weghorst. Yeah, Nick Pope. He could have gone on loan. Let's just say he could have gone on loan. But if he has a season like I knew he would, okay, where he's spectacular, where he's solid, then Newcastle would have a problem this season in terms of trying to negotiate a fee for him, because then there'll be other clubs looking at him. You would think that maybe Spurs would be looking at him, you know, maybe even Chelsea at this point, because of, you know, their need for a goalkeeper. Whereas Newcastle don't have that issue. They knew what they were getting with Nick Pope, an outstanding goalkeeper, and they got him permanently on the 10 million contract. Wout Weghorst was a highly rated player before he went to Burnley, didn't do it at Burnley. So a club took a risk on him on loan. So it's risk-free, isn't it? And in that way. And that's just how it is. You're going to get some players that people want permanently and other players that people want purely on loan. And if they've got that in their contracts, fair play to them. fair play. I it would be like, and for my NHL fans in here, they'll know this. Some players, I mean, it's currently going on now with a player from St. Louis Blues who's totally kaputting a move to Philadelphia, and I don't blame him. But he's got a no movement clause contract in it. The team can't be upset. They give him that clause in the contract. You just can't be upset with that if you've agreed to put that clause in. Because when it suits you, you want to trade the players away. They've got no say in it. But players that put those in their contracts, they know unless I give you permission, I'm not going anywhere. Um, Dylan Easton saying stupid that we've allowed the players to have so much power. Yeah, I mean, I've always said as well, release clauses they work both ways because it gives you a chance to get highly paid players off your wage bill who you can't keep in the championship. But also, the loan thing, it kind of baffles me. It's usually just a release clause fee. I've never really seen a loan, having a loan clause contract in there. But I think it kind of tells you a story as well, doesn't it, with some of these players? You know what I mean? It kind of tells you a story in terms of a loan clause being in there just because they probably know that they're not going to get bought if we do go down. I also say about this as well. Leeds United possibly, reportedly being unhappy, but it works both again, things work both ways, people. And once we got relegated and those relegation clauses kicked in terms of halving some of their wages and possibly more with certain contracts, I'm sure they didn't have second thoughts going, this is unfair. We shouldn't really half everyone's wages. I'm sure they couldn't wait for those to kick in. So again, works both ways. And that's just where I am with it. I'd be very surprised at this point as we speak today that if Bamford, no, not Bamford, sorry, Tyler Adams or someone like that doesn't get sold permanently, Willie Nonto, Somerville, I expect those guys to get moved on a permanent transfer fee. But the players that we've been linked with moves away on loan, even like an Aaronson, Llorente, Koch, it makes sense to me. It absolutely makes sense because people will see that there's players there, but they're not 100% sure. Whereas for me, the other ones that are better players, you know what you're kind of getting from those. What are we saying here? William Morrison with a super chat. Shout out to you. The Niners do things on the QT. I'm sure on the quiet. I'm sure they have a plan. I'm sure they have a plan. The EFL is holding things up. The new manager must be ruthless with the old guard. Yeah, we'll see about that. William, shout out to you. Lee Dawn say, can I have a shout out, mate? Watching from Dominican Republic, but still have to tune in to keep the vids. But still have to tune in, keep the vids coming. Hey man, listen. Thank you for that, Leah. But listen, punctuation is like it's killing some of you in it. Yeah. But no, listen, I worked it out. I worked it out. But no, shout out to you guys. Thank you for watching wherever you are in the world, man. It's all love. Like I say, it always blows my mind, like seeing how many people watch from different parts of the world. Still mind blowing to me. But yeah, shout out to you, Lee, and everyone else. But yeah. I mean, give me your thoughts in the comments now, and obviously in the comments after the video is done. I mean, how are you guys feeling in terms of the loan system? Do you think that we should be able to sell every player? I mean, that is just unrealistic, by the way. If you do think that, it's way too unrealistic. But do you think that we should be looking to get more sales rather than loans? But if there's loan clauses in their contract, what can you do? What can you do? Paul, yeah, Paul saying sell them all, not fit to wear the shirt. Yeah, and I maintain with it, Paul. I maintain with it as well. I don't care how many of these guys leave because I don't expect these guys to help us get back up. I just don't. So whether they were to stay or to go makes no difference to me. For me, it's all about the better youngsters that we've got here and incomings to the club. Otherwise, we're not getting up with these guys. They're just not. They're just not. I often talk about the last game of the season, like giving me PTSD from just how these guys look like dads on a park. But and I'm not even. And the thing is, for me, I'm not even remembering the last two games of the season where we've had players that are okay. I mean, one is poor Imora, just dancing through our defense and scoring. I don't want these guys here. I don't want these guys here. You know what I mean? We made Lucas Moura look like prime Messi on his last game, and he hadn't scored in how long? But that's what we did. That's what we do with these players. The weak. I want a lot of these guys gone. Get transfer fees for the ones that you can. get the wages off the bill with the other ones, because you can still use that money from loans. I must stress this: you can still use the money that you getting off the books from their wages on incoming players, and that is the most important thing, people. It's promotional bust for me this season. Promotional bust. Because if we find ourselves in this league next season, it's only going to get worse from there. The parachute payments reduce, and the quality of play that we can bring in also reduces as well. We're at our strongest point as we speak right now. Right now, this is the strongest point. Us, Leicester, and Southampton, all the strongest we're going to be at this point in the championship. You know what I mean? Richard here saying, I honestly would not miss any of them, KG. Yeah, listen, Somerville, Nonto, who are on the screen right there. I mean, that was a happier time, wasn't it, during a rare win? Um, I would miss those guys, but I don't think they're irreplaceable. I don't think they're irreplaceable. I miss Tyler Adams if he was to go. Listen, on Tyler Adams as well, if he was to go on loan, I could only the only reason I could see that happening on loan is if the buying club is concerned about his recent injury, because obviously I think he had a setback as well with the injury, hasn't he? So I can imagine that being a loan. But you would imagine though, if a club, if he's fully healthy, if he's fully fit, that someone will want him permanently. Because if he has another good season the way he did for us, there'll be more suitors for him next summer when he can go permanently. So yeah. Um Skip here saying retirement FC. Hopefully the 49ers will be ruthless with this squad now and in the future. I hope so, man. I really do. I really hope so. Um, let me just okay, right. All right. Oh, what have I done? Shush. Okay, yeah. So yeah, let me go on to the no. Let me get a couple of your comments about that in here. Alec here saying, interesting to see how little we get for Rasmus. I think it's a straight loan. I think it's a straight loan, Alec. I don't think it's going to be any fee. Apparently, the Llorente one, there's not even going to be a buy fee after. It's just a straight loan. So again, tells you just yeah, it's not good, is it? Bob's your uncle. Shout out to you, super chat saying Brendan Lowe makes sense because he had some value, but it's dropped. Yep, decent year, and then you sell him. Fulham has finishers that will help him. Yeah, I mean, again, with Fulham, Mitrovic did he did well last season. He did, but that's his first season that he's actually done it in the Prem. So they need to see if Mitrovic is going to do it again. So it's funny with Fulham how they got Dan James first, and then now Brendan Aaronson. They're looking at him. It's quite funny. They must have a similar kind of talent ID there for some reason. But yeah, like I said to you, Bob's your uncle. I don't think Brendan's a bad player. It just wasn't going to work out for him here after the second half of last season. I think it was just poor from him. It was poor overall from everybody, but he really did drop. But I can understand him being disheartened with the first half of the season because he was decent for the first couple of months. I think he was decent and he was putting in some real good through balls that were just being wasted time after time. So yeah. Um, Champs Bro saying, make Cody our number one right back. I hope so. Still no word on Cody if he's going to stay. Cody Drame should say. There's still no word if he's going to be here or if it's going to be Burnley. But again, that's not going to be sorted out until the ownership, management, and everything else is confirmed. Because Cody Drame is, we talk about incoming signings. He's not going to sign a contract without a manager being here. He's already been messed around by two managers previously. So he's not going to sign a contract blind, not knowing who the manager is. For then this manager to go, you know what, I don't fancy you either. See you later. It's just not going to happen. So again, that's why we need things to get moved on pretty soon for me. Um, what else? What is everyone saying? I might need to go back up. Richard here saying it's all about money now. Loyalty in a club is non-existent. Fans are the only true believers. Richard, this is something I try and tell people, but it's hard for some people to get with that. They think that once they put on the shirt of the club that they support, that player now is he's consumed with the club. He thinks about the club 24/7. It couldn't be any further from the truth, Richard. See, really and truly, and it hurts fans to hear that, but it's the truth. The players don't care like we do. They just don't. It's a job to them. It's a job to them. It really is. Some of them don't even watch football. You'd be surprised about. I mean, I know Ben White has been outed as someone that doesn't watch football. You'd be surprised about how many of them just don't watch it. You really would be. Uh, Let's have a look. My expat life in Colombia saying his back four would be Drame right back, Creswell, Verba, and Ryan Manning. Yeah, yeah, that sounds all right. It sounds all right still, but we need to see who's going to come in. You know, we don't again with Charlie Creswell. Apparently, he's up in the air as well. Whether he's going to be staying, there's a lot to sort out, and this is why I'm saying we need to get a move on because we're in a place of we're just in a place of nowhere right now. We're in the middle of nowhere. We don't know where we're going to be with players coming in, out, who's staying. Yeah, we need to get this sorted out sooner rather than later. Lost audio though saying I can sense another terrible season incoming. Clubs all over the place. I really hope not. Lost audio. I could tell you, I say to you, I want this to be a 1 year loan deal. I can't do this again. I really can't. But at this point in time, I know a lot of people may not agree, but if this is the squad to go into the season, we're not going up. So, nothing tells me about this squad is going to be good enough for the championship. Did you see how weak and meek these guys were towards the end of the season? They ain't got the heart to go somewhere on a Tuesday night and put in a good performance. These guys just give up. They give up. So no, yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, limbo. Thank you, Tintin. Kruthick is asking, is drama even that good? Well, Kruthick, this was the question that we had in the Premier League, and we had two absolute donkeys at right back in Ayling and Christensen. So he could have been given a chance then. He's gone to the championship twice and has excelled both times. So where we are right now in the championship, he'd be one of the better right backs. So yeah, it would be nice to keep him, but Burnley, Vincent Company sniffing around, it might be a tough task. I saw a loose report of Willie Nanto being linked to Palace. I'm not going to bring that up on the screen. I think that's just a lazy link, and it kind of makes sense. You know, Willie Nanto definitely fits the Crystal Palace profile, but I don't see anything in that, and I haven't heard anyone else talk about it. That's if Will Saha does leave the club. Uh, Let me just get this one up, as he was in our coaching staff. So let me just uh, give a shout out to Mr. Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane is now head coach of Maccabi Tel Aviv, and good luck to him. Saw him on the last game of the season. Very nice guy, and yeah, it was nice to see Robbie Keane there. Someone from the yesteryears when we had. I mean, he was there at a time where we had like five top quality strikers. It was ridiculous the rotation that we could put in when he was here up front. Crazy days, crazy days. I love those days, but I want new days. I always say to people, um, I always say to people with when I talk about those days in terms of Viduka, Kuehl, Keane, Decor, all these guys. I want new days to talk about. I want new days to talk about and compare to those because right now, as we speak today, there's no team that we've had since the Champions League can compare to them. You can't. There's not one team that can compare to that team. And I want a new team to go up against that team and go, oh, it's kind of tough to pick, but they're clear of anything that we've had over the last 20 years. So, but yeah, Robbie Keane, shout out to him and good luck to him at Tel Aviv. Um, yeah, exactly, Zia. The streets will never forget Robbie Keane. Listen, he had a lot of clubs, didn't he, man? He had a lot of clubs. He moved around a lot, but he was top notch, man. Top notch striker. Yeah, he was at Soccer Aid. He did look good. He did look good, man. Bob's your uncle. Oh, let me just get that one. Bob's your uncle saying Tyler Adams fit the Crystal Palace profile 100%. Yeah, I could see that. Imagine him freeing up Elise and Eze to attack. Man, I'd be tuning into Palace every week. We'd be doing Palace watch alongs on here. All right, we'd be doing watch alongs on here. But yeah, that does make sense, Bob's your uncle. But we don't know if they're interested. We keep hearing Aston Villa, don't we, being interested in Tyler Adams. And Paul O'Prey is just saying, keep with it, sell all of them. Paul, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. And yeah, leader, sorry, saying Robbie was a class act, a nice guy. Yeah, he was superb. Both him and Paul Robinson, when I spoke to him on the last game. Yeah, wonderful guy, wonderful guy. And it's just so like surreal seeing those guys because obviously, you're talking 20 years ago now, and it's surreal thinking of the kid then when I'm watching these guys on TV and then I'm interacting with them years later. It is surreal, but yeah, wonderful, wonderful guy. And listen, we're gonna end on this and on your comments, but I've been talking about Bill Foley for Bournemouth. Um, yeah, I've been talking about Bill Foley for Bournemouth a lot on here. in terms of him once he got rid of Gary O'Neill. He's won the Stanley Cup with Vegas Golden Knights, and he's been talking again on Talksport. And he's the opposite. And this is what I was alluding to at the start of the stream, where we're going to have owners that aren't that vocal, and I think it will do us good. But Bill Foley is somebody who is vocal, but he follows through with his promises or with things that he wants. And but unlike Andrea, who was very vocal and did not follow up with things that he wanted to do, this guy is doing it. And he was just talking today about Gary O'Neill, and he was saying about it, they felt it was an opportunity. It wasn't about Gary not delivering. He will land on his feet and he will be in a coaching for a long time. We made a difficult decision to benefit the team, and the team comes first. Listen, that for me is money. That is music to my ears. You see, I've got a lot of time for Bill Foley lately because I was even listening to him on a Sportsnet interview where he was talking about the Golden Knights. And for people that don't know, the NHL has a salary cap and it's around 83 million. And he was asked a question: if there was no cap, how much would you spend on the Golden Knights? And he said $130 million. Listen, I love that kind of ambition. I love it. And he even said today about Bournemouth Stadium. We've heard about our stadium needing to be upgraded and nothing being done. He said that Bournemouth Stadium isn't up to par and they need it to be expanded. And he said it's not going to be anything stupid like 40,000 because they don't need it. He says it needs to be up to about 25,000. Realistic goals. Realistic goals. Bob's here saying teams get rid of players who help them get promoted. So why can't we do that with Farke if we go up? Yeah, Bob's, I'm with you 100%. And that's how he looks at it. He was bigging up Gary O'Neill. I think if Gary O'Neill needs a reference, Bill Foley will write a glowing one for him. He's just saying, listen, you can be good anywhere, but it ain't gonna be here. One of them. He's like, nah, it's not gonna be here. And he was talking about Iraola and just the need for a manager who could attract players, better players. And that's something I said. I said it had to be something to do with that because Bournemouth, as it is, they need to upgrade their squad. And with a Gary O'Neill, players will be going there. First of all, it's Bournemouth with like 12,000 people, and they'll say, "Who's Gary O'Neill?" You know what I mean? And that's what he recognizes. And what I did like as well, again, comparing him to Andrea, because this is also a quote. He says that if he gets it relegated with the choices that he's made, he'll live with the mistake. And unlike Andrea Radrizzani, who really and truly thought any decisions that he made was going to make us mid-table, this guy is saying, I'm doing this for the betterment of Bournemouth, but if it doesn't work, listen, I'll live with the consequences. I rate it so highly. I cannot tell you, I've taken in so much of Bill Foley's interviews over the past couple of weeks, especially since he's won the Stanley Cup. And obviously now with Bournemouth being involved in football, the guy is just ambitious. He's an ambitious man. Not only does he want to make money like every owner wants to make money, but he wants success. You know what I mean? And I admire that. I really, really do. Yeah, and Paul Aney, he said it before. We need to be ruthless, no sentiment. Yeah, 100%. Gale here, all these smaller clubs who are run far better than ours. It's sickening. Gale, I echo that 100%. You look at Brentford, Brighton, all these clubs like that. Fulham are moving that way now after a couple of years of not getting it right, and we've just absolutely we've ballsed it up. We've ballsed it up. We've made Leeds United go back from where we should be in the Premier League back to being a Championship club again, and it is absolutely sickening. Gail, I'm 100% with you. John saying we'd be able to fill out a bigger stadium if we had the capacity and reduce prices slightly. At least we would be in the Prem. Yeah, listen, John, but that's what he was saying. That's what he's saying. He's saying that Bournemouth don't need a 40,000 seat stadium. I think he's very realistic with that and the fan base that they have, but they do need it to be better and they need it to be bigger. But I think anyway, John, I think you've seen our season ticket waiting list and everything else, how many people had memberships and couldn't get tickets. I think that we would still be able to sell out our stadium even at the prices that they're at. Even when we was in the Championship before, I remember paying £36 for a ticket against Barnsley. Ugh. What? Barnsley? £36. You know what I mean? And I think away fans have it worse in the Championship for us, don't they? So but yeah, I just had to give you my like it seems to be weekly Bill Foley update, but I just admire people with ambition. I'm an ambitious person myself, and when I see other people making moves like that, I'm like, I hope what we're getting from the 49ers is going to be something similar. Obviously, not as publicly announced as Bill Foley does it. He's always done that though. When he first took charge of the Vegas Golden Knights when they were born, he said that he wanted to be in the Stanley Cup final, win the Stanley Cup by the 6th year, and they did that. Love that kind of stuff. That's what it is for me. Um, Sam saying 20 years and one decent season in the Prem. They might be smaller, but look how pathetic our club has been ran. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are we're absolutely terrible, man. It is sad. Like Gail said earlier, it is sickening, and I've come to terms with it, but I'm still coming to terms with it. If that makes sense to you guys, I hope maybe some of you are in the same boat as well, where you've accepted we're in the championship, but we've seen the fixture list. Maybe the next bit now is seeing us on EFL highlights on ITV over here. Oh my god. Oh Lord, 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 please, please, no. But yeah, I mean, listen. Any thoughts of anything that's on your mind just before we head out of here? Once again, people, before you leave, please hit a like on the video. If you're watching the replay as well, please do that as well. Best way to help the channel out. Patrick, it's a simple wish, isn't it, Patrick? I just wish we could have a stable club. And listen, I think the 49ers and Bob's your uncle is kind of echoing what I was about to say. 49ers are going to make Ellen Road a priority 100%. That's what these investors do, invest in the known loyalty from Leeds fans. And that's where I am. It's just a case of just getting everything just out and announced, get the manager in, get players in. It's just that we're in a state of limbo. And I think that we will be a stable club, Patrick. I really do. But I think that these guys as well, working with Andrea, working with Victor before them, they'll know they saw the mistakes that these guys were making. I think they'll learn from those. I think that this group is very intelligent. From everything I've heard from 49ers fans as well, that these guys are a very intelligent group and they know what to do. I've got no doubt we're going to get there, but we need to get some of these wheels in motion now. Paul, shout out to you, the Leeds United curse. Oh God, how can I forget his name? Oh no, this is going to be disappointing for him because he's always talking about the Leeds United Gypsy curse. But yeah, could be, could be. Richard here saying, I'm optimistic about the 49ers. I am too. I am too. I really am. Listen, I'm not going into it though thinking that these guys are going to be it and everything else like that. I think we've been burnt over the past couple of years with the way that the club's been run. So it's going to be up to them to prove it. And that's where I am with a lot of things when it concerns to Leeds United. I've backed a lot of things previously, but now it's up to players, it's up to the manager, it's up to the owners now to prove it to me now. Because it's all well and good getting behind them, and I will do that. But I think they've had too much support in the last couple of years for what we've been served up on the pitch over the last couple of years. I genuinely believe that. So yeah, I will back it, but I am optimistic about the 49ers also. And yeah, Patrick just saying, yeah, that's what gives him hope too. Yeah, shout out to you, man. But yeah, listen, people, I'm going to end it there. Like I say to you, hit the likes and listen. I keep saying it on every video. Hopefully, the next one we're talking about a managerial appointment because we need it. We need that. We need that. I would love it and I would deserve it, but we do. We need that to come very, very soon. Listen, people, see you in the next one and have a good evening, night, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Peace out.